What happens after death? Well, that's easy. Total Warhammer 3. Become Global Crisis. And who better to collapse society than this guy? Because Settra does not serve, or like my graphics card. So without further ado, meet the Tomb Kings. As the resident undead Egyptians, our goal is simple: conquer the world and survive an endgame crisis to win. The first course of action is to greet our neighbor. Howdy do, partner. Because our units are undead, they don't rout, but instead crumble and die faster than a new pair of Yeezys. After key blasting the army to death and circle beating their leader, we'd won our first battle. Something special about the Tomb Kings: Settra does not serve the IRS. While we barely make any money, our units are completely free. Instead, we have to build structures to increase unit capacities and research tech to field more armies. Right now, we only have a few chariots to recruit, but later in the game, may God have mercy, because I certainly won't. We also start at war with pretty much all of our neighbors because Settra is a dick. After sieging our first settlement, our units were pretty injured, so instead of waiting for them to replenish, I could just disband and re-recruit them because digging up dead people is free. In terms of expansion, to our left we have desert, above and below are tantalizing deserts, and to our right is mountains with desert. Because of how our recruitment system works, we need to play wide. Conquering as many settlements as possible gives us more room for unit capacity buildings and bigger armies. With now 3 settlements, we turn to the vampire counts. By deploying our army in a box and partaking in minuscule tomfoolery, our chariots were able to do their thing. Normally, spearmen counter chariots if we didn't have 50. After capturing the 4th settlement, we took a break from the fighting for a single turn. Hello, man-child. Given our income was now 300 hyper-inflated dollars, we had to channel our inner Logan Paul and steal more. Or accept bribes, because we scare people. Not like that'll stop me, for Settra does not read. Manfred also decided to attack us, and his army was looking less impressive than an Amazon break room. Man, undead fights are so much fun. We just sit here for 10 minutes watching bone-on-bone action, which is why I spent most of it watching these 2 schizophrenic necromancers walk in circles.
Like sowing Scoop, those civilians were unarmed.
Alright. Good stuff. Good stuff. Winning the battle meant the end of Manfred, and capturing his last settlement was a cakewalk. Besides, we had bigger issues, like a plague spreading and Volkmar camping in our city.
If I had my way, you would be dealt flame and hammer.
That's cool, but I didn't ask. With Manfred's faction gone, our research for a second army had completed, allowing me to regurgitate an entire 20 stack in just 2 turns. But for every new army we awaken, our research speed goes down, so it takes longer to get another. Because each settlement we own increases research speed back up, more cities equals more armies, and plagues. Okay, skeletons can't get sick. Exhibit A, Jack Skellington.
Ow, my fucking dick!
Speaking of pestilence, our neighbors. Directly next to Khemri is this quirky, not like the other girls settlement, the Black Pyramid of Nagash, a fortress that could unleash untold evil and horrors into the world. So naturally, I had to have it. So up until this point, things were going pretty well. Please don't declare war on me. I was not expecting that. And overall, our borders were safe. Did I say safe? No, what I meant was 9th Circle of Hell. Who is Scarbrand? Well, you know, Satan. By deploying our units on the edge, utilizing masses of chariots, and courageously advancing backwards, we pulled their heroes into our spears and had a completely fair duel. Winning the battle left Khorne cities open, but as we went north, there were problems in the south. Though with another army awakened, we started to mobilize the 3rd Legion of mostly useless yet still free cannon fodder. Headed by the legendary leader King Wackoff, our armies beat the lizards off and used a tactic I like to call Rimworld. Fighting the last army manually, we used the mystical powers of cheese. We're just gonna keep running him in circles until he dies. And you know what? It's... oh fuck, I take it back, I take everything. Further north, Settra took Scarbrand's capital, another bald man declared war, and Tic-Tac-Toe drew an X on our settlement. In retaliation, our armies cornered him, and instead of auto-resolving, I decided to fight out the battle. What a mistake that was. With half his units being airborne, we won at the cost of bleaching my eyes. Even after taking back our settlement, we were still fighting against every single bordering faction. With Khorne, Lizardman, and Volkmar cities conquered, we expanded rapidly, extorted factions in the name of peace, and certified ourselves as a local menace. But we were running into a minuscule problem if we define minuscule as Jabba the Hutt. If I could rename our cities in this game, I'd call them all Poland, because with greenskins, new plagues, and overweight toads, we were being squished from all sides. Yes, we were beating down Volkmar, but with every settlement we occupied, we'd just lose a different one. Because awakening an army would take too much time, we performed a rite to cause sandstorms and attrition for all invaders, which weakened most armies. most armies. Skarbrand decided to take another pass at Settra, who was riding his Chariot of the Gods. After continuously running over his toes, we finally sent Skarbrand to the Shadow Realm, separately wiped out Volkmar, and secured our borders. King Whack-Off also discovered edgy Arkan, who's like Settra's really emo younger brother. No mom, it's not a phase, I'm just a Sigma male. Above Arkan is Aranas Zaltspite, a treacherous pirate known for betraying trustworthy allies. Back to the north, we did a little spring cleaning by finishing off the Glizzy and some inbred Gila monster. Also, apparently Khrokhgar declared war on us at some point, which is cool, but back of the line. Plus, in a rare moment of bonding, Bretonnia and I united in common hatred of Arkan. Of course, one turn later, how dare you take what I've rightfully stolen? On top of Bretonian aggression, we had to defend ourselves from Arkan by invading it. King Whack-Off is unique in that he buffs Tomb Guard, our elite infantry. But by heaping more buffs onto him, each Tomb Guard is practically unkillable, even when completely surrounded. As for Arkan, Resident Necromancer, Evildoer, and Lieutenant to Big Bad Nagash, taking an overview of our wars, we needed another army, but researching one was too slow. But you might have noticed these relic things next to our income called canoptic jars. We get them through taking settlements and spend them in my favorite pastime, running a cult. The Mortuary cult is a special crafting system for the Tomb Kings. We can also awaken new heroes and armies, so by emptying Settra Jr.'s college fund, we awakened a new dynasty. To further our military even more, we changed up Settra's army. If having some chariots is good, then thinking rationally, what about a whole army of them? To test our theory, we fought a quest battle for our legendary weapon. Oh my good god. All of my units don't even fit on like where they intended to have the rally point. Even their dedicated anti-chariot units couldn't stand up to the might of standstill traffic. Oh my god. He's dying, by the way. Like, this is killing him. We won Settra's Blade, researched another army, and kept increasing our income. Tic-Tac also declared war again, leading us to witness more Slaawn magic. My mini-map was just filling with enemies, so I pieced out one of the Lizardman factions. Tic-Tac-Toe's horrifying army just kinda died, and everyone's favorite murderous psychopaths came back. Thus far, the campaign could be summed up in one word: suffering. Resettling ruins, beating up Arkan, having those very ruins razed, beating up Arkan, accepting bribes, and fighting a lightning strike battle against dinos with 400 chariots. If you told me this is how I'd be spending my Friday night, I'd believe you. But at least one good thing came out of all this: a giant boner with a bow. King Whack-Off's army had recruited a bone giant who drops explosive arrows faster than the ratings of Velma. Khrokhgar had decided to siege our settlement with his pet undead frog, a Slaawn so powerful that when he died, he just didn't. Luckily, Whack-Off's boner giant unloaded all over the Lizardman, edged Khrokhgar to death, and when it was down to just Lord Croak, beat the meat out of that toad. When everyone was finished off, we returned to fighting Arkan, but next door was a special rogue army, because scattered around the map are books of Nagash. Each one gives us special powers after we defeat the army holding it. The same Nagash whose pyramid we'd looted. Inside is a building we can exploit called the Vault of Nagash, with secrets and dark magic the likes of which no sane mortal would mess with. Luckily, we're neither. Plus, it's not like building the vault has any serious consequences. I mean, surely it wouldn't set something in motion that would cause a massive invasion to happen. Ha 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 ha. To solve that, I forgot about it. Mostly because we'd all but wiped out Arkan, doubled our territory, and surrounded the rogue army holding our book. An army of mostly anti-large versus chariots. Way Watchers, the best archers in the game. We're charging the Temple Guard directly. You just walk through them. After dealing with their leader, we won the battle and acquired the Book of Nagash. Each book has a unique ability, with this one causing sandstorms and attrition. The other books are spread across the world, but the closest ones are in Lamia and Karak 8 Peaks. To regroup, we pieced out Khrokhgar by gifting him a settlement we just took from him, and resurrected our spellcasters at 0 health. But more broken was me starting a war with Khrokhgar's ally, which he joined. Now you'd think that it would mean he violated our peace treaty because he declared war on us. But see, the problem there is that we're using our brains, because instead it actually counts as me violating the agreement, lowering my reliability to nothing. And low reliability means God damn it. With Khrokhgar attacking one of our armies, 1v10ing the whole thing, then confederating with another one of our enemies, there were just too many settlements to conquer. Well, for a mortal. Taking a step back, what exactly have we achieved? A lot, actually. Arkan Ember Pawns, gone. Khrokhgar united with us against the dwarves, then we killed him. And pretty much the entire peninsula is ours. Sorta. Meet Kairos Fateweaver, Tzeentch worshipper and Muppets mascot. By expanding south, we'd run into him and the worshippers of Tzeentch. Now, Big Bird and his entourage are almost exclusively ranged units who can kite. So, as I've said 10 times before, chariots. Turning Kairos into KFC, we evicted Tzeentch and took his northern settlements. Kairos' last cities were in the Chaos Wastes, which have no practical usefulness whatsoever. So, you know, we're here. On the other side of the world, we were sending armies to Lustria for one of the books. First, we got caught by orc pirates, which wasn't too bad, but then the Skaven. I expected them to send one army, not 4, so only one of our boats made it to land. We did make a friend though, Luther Harkin, in perhaps the most lopsided trade deal I have ever seen. In the north of our peninsula, we'd mostly defeated the dwarves, discovered the Skaven clan moors, and were expanding rapidly. At least, until we met our match. A completely random rogue army made up of grenade launchers, steam tanks, and Hellstorm rockets. But maybe we still had a chance. Okay. And that's not the whole thing, by the way. There's a second army. Oh my god. And this army has 8 steam tanks. Oh. Back in our core lands, we were getting tier 5 settlements, allowing us access to our best units. War Sphinx, Hierotitans, and Necro Sphinx, which you'll see a little later. I also found an interesting creative mechanic in our tech tree. A high research rate awakens new armies quickly, but each army lowers the rate back down. Unless it doesn't. By researching 99% of a dynasty at our full rate, then switching to another, yeah, it's kind of broken. Back in the Chaos Waste, Settra was still on the warpath, taking over half the settlements and ending up at the gates of Kairos. Completely outnumbered, and fighting better units. Tomb King's chariots are good, but they're not that good. With just Settra and his Sphinxes, Kairos' blob eventually dragged them down. For the first time, Settra lost. The worst thing to happen in the whole campaign so far. Remember this place? Black Pyramid of Gash, Spooky Sorcerer Supreme? Well, from it, we'd learned some very interesting things. Number 1, you can start an endgame crisis by building a vault. Number 2, we should not have built that vault. The endgame crisis begins in 10 turns, and to be honest, I don't really know if it was us or complete coincidence. Either way, Nagash is back. But there was a way out of this. No. Settra's chariots aren't bad, but we needed something insane. So after some research, we turned Settra's army into Settra's Doom Stack. Hierotitans, Necro Sphinx, War Sphinx, Necropolis Knights, and Bone Giants. Plus, using the Mortuary cult, we gave Settra regeneration, vortex spells, and every other broken ability I could think of. We moved our armies closer to the capital, recruited more units, and had Skarsnik unfairly declare war on us, all because we lightly ransacked his capital for another Book of Nagash. Would you believe me if I said it's for a school project? With 10 turns until Nagash returned, we needed to prepare our armies. To make sure the north was safe, I stationed 2 armies at Carrick 8 Peaks to draw the aggro. While Skarsnik was strength rank 3, he had his own problems. The real threats were Queek and Kairos. Tweedledum and Dumber were busy taking the Chaos Waste back, but still had time to be flat annoying. Queek got obliterated, and across the sea, Skrulk was roleplaying a fish on land. Still, with our armies marching back, depression. Of all the scary things Skarsnik could field, he sent a bunch of naked goblins. However, shall we manage? To improve our main armies, I awakened some Tomb Princes because apparently we recruit them at level 22. Pre-max level heroes, not too bad. Unfortunately, there was still one problem. Nope. That army of steam tank grenade launchers was multiplying, but we had one unstoppable weapon at our disposal. Here is $30,000, we are now friends. As for our other enemies, we were using something called diplomacy. Skarsnik, I am truly sorry for taking your capital, so because we don't need it anymore, I'm giving it to Queek. You get this ruined settlement I didn't want, and I'll even join all your wars because I will definitely help you. And all I want is peace, and some other terms. So with Skarsnik as our new friendly puppet state, we had a buffer to the north. We swapped some units around, made some minor adjustments, and prepared our last stand. If we could beat Nagash's armies, then for the second time in my 1,000 hours across all 3 titles, I might actually finish a game. We had 3 turns until our capital will be swarmed by more than 10,000 undead, and Settra's army was just about done, but missing one thing, the crown of Nehekhara. In one last quest battle, housing an army of all monstrous constructs, the Chaos Warriors even cleverly flanked us and attacked our very vulnerable ranged units. By the way, all of our Hierotitans are also spellcasters, so we have access to like 6 of these things when we're oh my god. Now that Settra had recovered his crown, well, that was it. We'd done all the preparing we could do, so I stacked every army into a tight ball and passed our final turn. If we could hold, we'd win the campaign. If we could hold. By the end of this turn, we'd need to wipe out all 9 armies to prevent any more from spawning, which is why I stacked our lords in one spot. So, in the words of history's most ancient warlord, Combining all 4 armies by setting 2 as friendly AI armies and 2 as player armies, we could field 80 units at once. In total, there are 7,000 troops on the field, almost turning the game into a PowerPoint. Nagash's armies faded and battle 1 of 3 was over. Our armies hadn't taken a ton of damage, so we moved right into the second battle using the same AI army tactic. But this fight was a little different. 3 of the reinforcing armies were coming from the same spot at the same time. Our Titans went to fight the main army, the first reinforcing AI came in, and dear God, what is that? About 3,000 skeletons had spawned inside of each other, creating this amalgamation. At least this can't possibly get worse. It got worse. Jesus Christ. So what does it look like on the ground level for the average soldier? Well, it looks a little something like this. I'm not really sure how to describe it. Because the enemy armies could not physically get onto the field, I had to keep pulling back to let them spawn. They even hit army losses and had 0 units on the field, but the game was soft locked because of our blob. As my PC spit up coolant, my suffering ended at last. Now it was down to the final battle against Nagash's 3 best armies. Bringing everything we had to bear, it was a lot. In one last climactic, exciting, and totally not completely one-sided battle, Settra beat Nagash's armies once and for all. With over 1 million gold spent, 44 wars declared, and 0 allies ever, we'd at last achieved a complete and total campaign victory. For Settra does not forget. You didn't think I wouldn't remember Kairos. Oh yeah, also follow me on Twitch, because I stream consistently. Sometimes I stream, and my streams are easily the best around.